All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I cannot believe, Blake, that it's here. We blinked,
And we're
opened up our eyes, and here we are, 2024, 2025 Career Fair. I just want to say a great big hearty welcome to everyone. Our fourth year doing this. How do you feel, Blake?
I feel great. This is actually our fifth year.
Fifth
Almost
year,
fifth
fifth
year.
year,
Oh yeah.
fifth
So we've been
year.
doing it. Time flies, man. It's crazy. But it's super exciting here. Another amazing batch of speakers with us this year. So a lot of really cool resources and jobs. It's super exciting. I'm stoked. I don't know about you, man.
Yeah, I am. And this year's going to be a little bit different because we're talking about careers, but we're gonna be providing some out of the box options. I know sometimes our students they get certificate of completions and they're like wondering, what about me? Like, and we have a lot of just great opportunities. I don't want to give well, I guess the website kind of gives things away. We have Etsy, we have childcare today, that we're going to be talking about. We have someone from the pet industry. So we're super excited about that. Just want to give you guys like a housekeeping item to our audience, to our listeners. We ask that you save questions for our speakers at the end of the presentation. During the presentation, though, a transition support staff member will be fielding questions. So put them in the chat and we're happy to get to them. All right, so we want to go ahead and get started. We are eager to hear from Lana Quijas, my wife, who's going to share her experience in the childcare industry. And so we want to give her all the time that she deserves. And so I'm going to turn the mic over to you, Lana. Welcome. And we're excited to get the ball rolling. Speaker number one, welcome.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Let me share my screen. A little presentation here. All right, so I will be speaking about childcare. So my name is Lana Quijas, and I have been working in childcare for a very long time. A little bit about myself. I have 3 children of my own, so I do childcare at home as well as I have with work. I have the ages are a little wrong here, 11, 9, and 8-year-old. Some things about me, I like riding my bike, I like crocheting, I like running. And I was also homeschooled from 3rd grade until college, and I grew up in the Central Valley. And one of my first jobs was actually in childcare. My first job was babysitting. But first, before I talk about childcare, let's look at what it is. So, what is childcare? Childcare might sound simple, but it's important to break this apart and to actually look at it. So, childcare and babysitting involves supervising and caring for children while their parents or guardians are away. This can include feeding, playing with, helping with homework, and ensuring the safety of children. One of the great things about babysitting is that it's flexible. It can be a part-time job. It can be a full-time job. There's also professional childcare roles that are out there, and it is a great opportunity for students to gain experience and develop responsibility and earn income. So looking at childcare, these are the different things that I wanted to speak with you today. What are the responsibilities, the safety precautions? We can look at age-appropriate activities as well as time management. So a very important thing about childcare is that it's one of your jobs when working with childcare is making sure that the children are safe. My first babysitting job was watching a lot of children at a swimming pool when I was 9 years old. And it can be a challenging job, but the more you practice, the better you get at it. And there are all different kinds of opportunities and jobs out there with childcare. So I think I want to spend a little more time looking at some of those. And I also want to introduce you to a site where you can actually find jobs in your area, because we can talk about childcare and I'm sure a lot of you know what it is, but some don't. But really, in the end, we want to figure out where can we find those jobs and how can we get started. And the first thing to get started is to build some experience. And so to build experience, you need to make sure you are, you know what you're doing when you get that first babysitting job, or if you volunteer at a church or at a YMCA or whatever, different places. You don't want to just walk in there and have a big surprise. You want to feel a little bit prepared. So making sure the children are safe, that is the most important job. And to do that, we need to make sure that we're looking around. Like if we have a cell phone, I worked as an extended care supervisor, and it's like an after school program. I was a supervisor, and we hired a lot of college aged kids to supervise the children. One of the things that I noticed, even with these college age students, is they had their phones out, and a lot of them were watching soccer games on their cell phones. Some of them were watching football. And one of the things that I would see, and my coworkers, we would see them out holding their phone. Okay, I'm going to take my phone out. I know I'm being recorded, but they'd hold their phone out like this. And the phone would be blocking their view of the children. So I know that sounds basic, but that's what supervisors are looking for. So when they're out there watching you, they want to make sure that you have your phones away and you're looking at the children and making sure you're you can see everyone. That's important. Another part of childcare that's important is sometimes, let's say if you're working at a daycare center, feeding the children, making sure they have food and snacks. You might be doing diaper changes, depending on the age, helping children wash their hands. And these things sound basic, but these are very important. So making sure that they're fed at regular times, engaging activities. So one of the great things about childcare is you can do crafts with them. So I know a lot of you might like doing crafts, or maybe you like sports. There's a lot of childcare opportunities with sports, like playing soccer or playing catch. Educational support is an important part of childcare that you might be doing, helping with homework, tutoring. This is a little bit tricky, but making sure the children follow the rules. That is also a very important thing. And I've worked in a lot of situations where sometimes it can be hard to get children to follow the rules. And with childcare, there are some basic things, like we can't be screaming, like we have to really have emotional regulation when we're working with children, because sometimes they'll say no. You'll ask a child to do something and they'll straight up say no to you. And you have to ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do next? And a lot of places, they have rules, like this is the procedure. So if a child says no, maybe we have them have a timeout, or we talk to them, or think sheet, or we try different positive, encouraging ways to get them back on track. And another important part of childcare is communicating with parents and staff. So when parents leave their children with you, sometimes they get nervous. They worry about them. And when they come back, they want to ask you, like, how did it go? And it's important that we communicate, you really give them some information. If you just say good, sometimes that leaves parents a little bit like, what does that mean? So that's another important part of childcare. Okay, we talked about some of this. Communication, activities. Okay, this is a slide that I think is pretty interesting here. The rate. So what do babysitters get paid in Fresno County? So right here, if you look at this graph, you'll see that based on the ages, the older you are, it looks like the more money you make. So 14 to 15-year-olds are getting paid about $15 an hour. 16 to 17-year-olds are getting paid probably around looks like $18 an hour. 18 to 19-year-olds are getting paid $20 an hour. 21-year-olds are getting paid about $22 an hour, and 22 plus are getting paid about $25 an hour. So you can make pretty decent money doing babysitting jobs in your area. So a question that you might have is, well, how do I find those jobs? Like, where do I even look? So there are some really cool apps that have come out and different websites. And one I want to share with you is called care.com. And It's a really cool site because what you do is you can create a profile and you put in your zip code. So I actually put in Fresno, a zip code in Fresno, to see what are the jobs that are currently out there right now for different, like what are the different jobs. So here, what this is showing you is the different babysitters out there. So this is your competition. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to see, okay, what is my competition right now? Like, what are the experience? Who are the sitters out there? So we see here from looking at this site that we have Destiny. This is her profile. So I check out other people's profiles to get some ideas, or I just wanted to show you what some of those profiles look like. So these are some of the different sitters that are in your area that are looking for jobs currently. And you can see their rate on the side, $25 an hour, $17 an hour, and then it also shows their years of experience. So it's really, what is a really good thing to do is actually work on getting some experience volunteering. There's all different places that we can start off by getting some experience. There's also like senior care. There's all these different, I know you guys are gonna have a lot of presenters, so this is just a cool site. You can explore, you can make a profile and see what kind of jobs are out there. This is actually where I found my first nannying job. I used care.com and I found a great nannying job where they actually let me bring my daughter with me to work. So my oldest daughter, Chloe, she was young. She was probably like 6 months old. And I wanted to make some extra money. So I decided I was going to stay home, but I needed a job. And I was I needed to be a little creative. So on this site, I made a profile and I said, I have a baby. I'm looking for a childcare job and I want to bring my baby with me. And I found this wonderful family and they paid me to go to their house and I would bring their middle school kids to school and I just bring them home. And I did that every day and they would pay me for doing that. And I'd even go grocery shopping for her while she was at work. And this site really helped me. And then later when I found, when I started my teaching job, went back to teaching, I found a nanny on this site that was really nice and she would come and she worked for me. So I've used care.com quite a bit for childcare jobs and to find childcare providers. So I wanted to share that with everyone here. Okay, let me make my screen a little bit smaller, jump back in. I would ask if there are any questions, but I know this is a different format, so I'm not going to.
No, that's I think a great, that's a great, I think we could segue to any questions. Do we have any questions? See if there's any questions. I know a lot of our students will be watching this later. Well, I just want to thank you, Lana, for sharing your time and your expertise or your experience with childcare with us today. Your insights are incredibly valuable, and we appreciate you being here. To our students, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. I do have a question though. So you're in teaching, how has childcare helped you? So your experience with nannying, how has that helped you, I guess, prepare you for your teaching, your job in education or teaching?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like it's given me a lot of experience because when I was working, I worked as a teacher for many years. I was a second grade teacher for 7 years. And now I'm a high school teacher online. And it just gave me experience like connecting with like children, like learning how to respond when they're having a hard day, supervising, being responsible. And like, even when I applied for my first teaching position, having that experience on paper, because that experience is really important. And I think that when you do begin doing like babysitting jobs and childcare jobs, even if it's volunteering, even if it's not paid, you'll find out if it's something that you love and it's something for you, or if it's something that it's not for you. That, because you're basically you're with the younger children, you're supporting them, you're supervising them, you're caring for them, and you'll tell if you can feel if your heart is in it or if it's not the career path for you. So I think it's a great it was a great thing for later.
Blake, any questions? You know me, every year I always have a ton of questions, but I wanted to just kind of open it up to see if you had any questions.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I love the different insights, and it's really cool. And I love that just you mentioning too that it's kind of with the case with a lot of jobs, you know, and just experiences in life in general. Like you can trying these different things, you can figure out, like you said, if it's not for you, which is sometimes just as valuable as finding something that does work for you. And I think we kind of touched it on a little bit, but I just kind of one of my questions, I guess, would be like, what kind of skills do you need? Like, would you say, what would be like the top skills that you would be ideal for this type of job? And maybe also like skills that you can learn from it as well to take into other endeavors if you wanted to.
That's a great question. So when I was a supervisor for extended care at a private school, we hired staff. And one of the things that we looked for is we looked for staff that were patient and flexible, because you're sometimes, you know, and also we looked for staff that were able to like move around quite a bit because we had some very active younger children at the school. And we wanted staff that were like really engaged, like they could move all around the play yard to like make sure, you know, sometimes you need to move quick to like get to like maybe a fight is breaking out between two children over a soccer ball. Like you need to hustle to get over there. So someone more active, someone that was patient, someone that was like on time. Like it was very important. We'd pay attention to did they show up on time for that interview, because you cannot leave children. You can't be late when you're watching children. They can't be outside by themselves. We need people out there to make sure they're safe. So those are some of the things that we looked for. Also, like being able to connect with them, like getting down on their level and making sure you adjust how you're talking for different age groups. Like you wouldn't speak to a 2-year-old the same way you'd speak to a 13-year-old. So we needed that like flexibility and that awareness that was important. And yeah, those are some of the things that we looked for.
One of the things I think that was really neat was seeing that the family that Lana nannied for, they kind of, I want to say, brought her into their family, and they saw my daughter grow up, and she had the opportunity to see their kids grow up. So I think that echoes your point that communication is definitely, and that flexibility is, you know, are very important traits. Well, any other questions, Blake? I know we have a whole list. I have another question if you don't have any other questions. I do have one more. Okay, so we often get students who aren't able to make it just because of school obligations, conflicts and schedules, and they'll watch this later and have questions about childcare. Would you be okay with us sending you a list if maybe we get 3 or 4 students who have some questions about the childcare field? Would you be okay with us? Of course, we won't give out your personal email address, but I or Blake would reach out and give you a list of some of their questions. Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, of course. I love answering questions.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. To our speakers, we are super excited about, again, Career Fair Day number 1. Presentation number 1 in the books, Blake. And we are excited about our next presentation at the top of this next hour at 10 o'clock. We are going to be discussing, again, another out-of-the-box career in retail. So we have Aaron Salcido coming up. So we're super excited about that. So thank you again, Miss Quijas, for showing up today and sharing. And then thank you to our listeners. And we're super excited. We hope to see you at our 10 o'clock presentation. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.